Welcome to the second part of our DermCoder training series. The purpose of this video is to go over navigating and working yourself around the DermCoder product and searching for information. Plus, we'll explain how various areas of the screen can be accessed from your browser. So we're going to assume that we've already logged in. My test account here is under Gomer Pile, and we have everything set here to Miami, Florida, which has been pre-configured under our user options. Now you'll notice across the top are some blue tabs. These are the various main sections of the DermCoder tool. And the little arrow at the bottom of each blue tab shows you the screen that you're currently in or the tab that you're currently on. If I switch to diagnosis codes, you'll see the little arrow falls under that blue tab. By default, you're always going to log into the main CPT and fees screen. We also have these buttons across the upper right corner. These are some quick jump features that'll take us, for example, to our DermCoder modifier checking tool called Quick Check. We can jump into our ICD-10 screen, our coding question service screen, our user options, which we've already gone in another video. We can jump to our data export and of course log out. This very first button here is sort of like a home button. It'll take you back to the main screen that you always log into. Same thing with the logo. You can click the logo. It'll take you into our welcome screen, and then you can simply click that first DermCoder grayish tab. It'll take you back to the main screen. Now, we have some buttons throughout the various features of DermCoder, like clinical laboratory fee schedule are on their own screen. You can be accessed here. Ambulatory surgical center fee schedules here, J codes and NDC codes. That information is contained on separate screens. But let's say we wanted to find information on a particular code. We knew what the code was. In this particular case, it's a Mohs code. It's 17311 that we want to find information on. We can jump to that code simply by looking for this code jump box, and I can click that with my mouse and enter 17311 and either hit the enter key on my keyboard or click the go button, and it'll search for the particular code that you've entered and jump to it, and you'll see that it disappears from the code jump box and appears below. Now we have 17311 displayed. Here's all the information for 17311. Information about this code's here. Our fees are on the right. If you watched our first video, we showed you how to set up a second fee schedule for your Medicare plus a certain percentage, and this is where it appears. Medicare plus 95% is what we set up under our user options. Now let's say we wanted to do a code that had a separate fee or information because of a particular modifier. An example of that is 88305. So I'm going to simply click this box and go 88305 and hit the enter key or the go button, and DermCoder is going to search the entire database and find 88305. Now the very first code that comes up is our default code for the global billing or global information for 88305. That's when you do both the professional and technical component. Now, if I needed to look up 88305 with the TC modifier, which has its own separate fees and information, I could simply use these navigational arrows, which will move forward one code. It's going to think about it for a second, and then you'll see that it comes up with 88305 TC. If I click it once more, it's going to go to 88305 with a 26. Or the professional component, and you'll see the rates change on the right and so forth. If I click it one more time, it's going to go to the next code in the sequence, which will be, in this particular case, I believe 88307, and there we go. The same thing happens again when we click the arrows. Another way that I can look for information is I can look for words that are in the definition. Now, if you've already searched and you see something is here, make sure you click the clear button first. It'll erase any settings that you have. And I'm going to say let's look for the Mohs codes again, but I didn't know what the codes were. I can literally just type in the word Mohs and hit the go button, or alternatively I could click the enter key on my keyboard, and it's going to find our Mohs code. Now let's say that I wanted to find all the codes that are for the excision of benign lesions on the trunk. I can do excision and benign and trunk and hit the enter button, or I can click one of the go buttons, and it's going to search for anything that has all three of those words. I could actually also do a partial word. I can do TRUN and click go, and it's going to actually find partial matches. If I wanted to find a match for something specifically and exactly, I could encapsulate that in quotation marks. I know skin tag appears in this word right here in this definition. I'm going to put skin tag and click the go button. Now, whatever I've encapsulated in quotation marks, it's going to look for exactly, and there's actually 22 codes that have the word skin tag in it. If you want a little bit of information or help on how to use these quotations or words or partial searches and so forth, you can click this little question mark box and a little cheat sheet will come up on how to use information in the description search box. Now, this code jump and this description search appears on other screens. For example, I can look at the ICD-10 dermatology only codes and I can put L57.0 exactly, and it'll find information. I could even do L57 and it'll find all codes that have L57 in it. I could click clear and put skin tag and hit search as well too, or I could do partial searches or put things in quotation marks. I already mentioned on the main screen are navigational arrow buttons. You can use these to go forward and backwards. Now, if we are in one of the features of DermCoder that takes us out of the main DermCoder program, such as our ICD-10 screen or our Ask an Expert coding question service, for example, I'm going to click the ICD-10 tab here. You notice it looks a little bit different as far as the format. This particular screen, which we'll go over in another training video, you can look up information, search, look by words, look by codes, etc. But if I wanted to get back to DermCoder, the way I do that is towards the right where it has logout in your name, it says DermCoder, and from the little drop-down button, you can see all the various screens I can go to. So I can click DermCoder, go back to where we were before. If I want to go to our Ask an Expert coding question service, which is an optional program, let's say I've subscribed to that as a user, I can go to the Ask button there. And incidentally, if you've never tried Ask, you're welcome to sign up for a complimentary trial question to our service. You can ask your questions if you've subscribed to this service and so forth. But if I want to get back to DermCoder, again, I can go to DermCoder and click that first option. It'll take us back. As I mentioned before, there's some other jump buttons over here. Quick Check is our modifier checking tool, which we will look over in a separate video. We have our Exports button, which will allow us to export data. We'll go over that separately as well too. Of course, we have our Log Out button. One last screen to point out in here is at the very bottom are some shortcuts, and towards the top row here of these little shortcuts it says Support. That'll take us to our contact information. You have access to our YouTube or local training videos, and you also have a list of frequently asked questions for the things that we get asked a lot, or articles or information that we think is important to you. One more thing to point out for you, DermCoder has all of the historic versions of DermCoder built into it. So if by default DermCoder will always take you into the current data, if I wanted to go back in time and look at DermCoder, let's say 4 years ago, I can click the version at the very top. From this drop-down button here, you'll see all of the available versions of DermCoder that are stored on our server. So if I was going back into 2013, second quarter, sometime in like May, for example, I can select that, hit Set. You'll see that it changes across the top. Now everything that I DermCoder will be what was in effect on that second quarter of 2013. To reverse my steps, I can click the version at the top, go back, select the very first one in the list, which is our default, hit the Set button, everything goes back. Alternatively, you can log out and then log back into DermCoder, and for security purposes, DermCoder will always default you to the current data for the current quarter that we're in. So that's it for this training video. Be sure you watch the rest of our training videos to make sure you understand how to completely and fully use DermCoder to its fullest extent.